If diets haven't worked for you after 50 or even 60, I want you to know a few things before you try to be even stricter. And that's usually where we go. We often believe we just need more discipline. And that's what I used to think too. Eat less food. Even if you're hungry, just don't eat. That's what I would think and tell myself all day. More rules. I had rules for everything. I tried so many different things you wouldn't even believe it. I even did P90X at 350 pounds. That was brutal. And I didn't even lose any weight. I kept telling myself I'd start on Monday or tomorrow or after the holidays, one day. One day I sat there and I realized I'd been saying I'm going to start for tomorrow for a whole year. And the hardest part was eating everything in sight today because I knew tomorrow meant another strict, punishing diet that I wouldn't let myself eat. I would weigh and measure all my food, every single thing. I always thought I needed the perfect plan. You know, I lived that way for decades. It didn't change my life. What really changed my life was learning to stop fighting my body and start feeding it in a way that helped it respond. I lost over 210 pounds. The first changes I made were simple and set me on a new path that weren't even the usual things people talk about when it comes to losing weight. They were small steps I took at the beginning. These are the things that helped me start over without making life feel like another punishment. You know, another drudgery I had to do. So if you've spent years feeling stuck in one diet after another, I want to share the top 5 things I changed first and how they changed everything for me. If you're new here and don't know me yet, I'm Jodi Isaacson. I'm a holistic nutrition educator and I've lost over 210 pounds by eating mostly raw, whole plant-based foods. That's also how I reversed my type 2 diabetes. So, grab a juice, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Here's the first thing I changed. I started adding foods instead of cutting things out. For me, this was a big deal. Most of my life, my weight loss started with what I couldn't eat. Take away bread, take away sugar, take away dinner, take away anything that brought me joy or tasted good or sounded fattening, and I could do it for a while. You know, a lot of us can. We get really good at pushing through, don't we? But just pushing through isn't the same as healing. I had to stop asking, what do I have to take out now? What do I have to cut from my food plan? Instead, I started asking myself a better question. What can I add that will really give my body nutrients? Because at 350 pounds, it may be hard to believe, but I was malnourished. I wasn't eating anything good for me. I felt run down, tired, I had no energy, and felt sick all the time. Real nourishment for me that looked like fresh green juice, fruit, big colorful salads. I focused on living foods full of water, color, and life. I'm not saying a glass of green juice is some kind of magic. I'm not saying it fixes everything either, but it did change how I looked at my day and how I dieted. And that shift led me to think differently. Instead of constant food noise in my head, like, oh my God, don't eat that, or you should skip lunch, I started to think differently. I began asking myself, what food will give me energy? What will make me feel alive? That was something new for me. It was a different way to start. When you've been dieting for decades, your body gets used to that constant food noise. Adding good things first broke that pattern. It gave my body permission to eat more. And I was telling my body, hey, I'm not going to starve you this time, so you don't have to hold back and go into starvation mode. I'm here to support you. It felt so good to not be starving myself anymore, just to eat and feel satisfied. So if your body has been stuck in restriction and rebound for years, another harsh plan just makes it harder. It's not just taking the easy way out. If this is different than what we've been taught, that's a good thing. That's exactly the point. The old way taught us to start with punishment. We're not good enough, so we need to be punished. I started with feeding my body instead. That changed everything for me. The second thing I changed was how I viewed one choice. I would beat myself up if I had anything that wasn't approved. If you were better, stronger, more disciplined, just a better person, you could have done this. Now you failed. I started trying to come back at the next choice instead. If you've ever said, I've already ruined it, I'll start Monday again, you know how big this is. That sentence kept me trapped for years. I would eat something and then I thought, well, I shouldn't have had that. So the day's gone. I'm a failure, my food's a failure, I can't do this. I told myself all the things. Then the weekend was gone. Then the week was gone. Then I was back in the beginning, carrying more shame, more weight than before. That's what diets do to your mind. They turn one choice into a verdict of who we are. I had to stop living like that. So I started practicing something very plain. You know, I was talking to a thin woman one time and it was the holidays, and I just couldn't wrap my head around how thin people stayed thin. And she was talking about all of her favorite foods they were going to be having for Christmas. And I asked, wow, aren't you worried you're going to gain a bunch of weight? Because I'm always worried about that. And she looked at me and said simply, it's one day. The next day I just go back to what I usually do. I was like, oh my gosh, how simple is that? My whole life I'm like, well, I blew it, I'm a failure. You know, all the things, I might as well eat the whole house because I'm going to be a failure forever. One choice doesn't get to take my whole day. One meal doesn't get to take the whole week. One moment, that doesn't define my worth as a person. Can you imagine that? The new voice said, no, we're not doing that anymore. Now it has become part of my life. Sure, I go out. Sometimes I eat quite a lot. My first thought now is that, wow, my body must have needed those extra calories today. The next day, I automatically resume where I usually eat. And the big thing, it's no big deal. I know I can't believe it myself. I just can't. For me, the answer started when I became less cruel to myself. That's what changed. If this speaks to you, hit the like button so I know you want to hear more videos that talk about weight loss without shame. We need more of that conversation. Now, the third thing I do, it changed everything, was I stopped making food so complicated. I would come up with recipes and food plans and what I would eat and how I would weigh and measure and everything. And I know that sounds funny coming from someone who loves food as medicine. Food as medicine doesn't mean you need 20-step plan every day. It doesn't mean your whole kitchen has to look like a science project and you spend 3 hours cleaning. It doesn't mean you have to create a brand new recipe every time you eat. For me, healing food to become simple, something I can put on repeat. I need rhythms, not rigid rules. Rhythms. A green juice, I could juice in batches. A big, huge salad, I know how to make without even thinking too hard. Just pull out the food out of the kitchen, cut it up, and it's good. A sauce. Okay, the sauce has to be king. And I'm the first one to admit that. It's got to be good. So what I do is I make sauces in about 5 minutes. And I batch it so I make it 2 or 3 times a week. Now I can afford 15 minutes of my time for a good sauce every week. Fruit I loved and something to beat cravings. Raw meals that felt fresh and beautiful without turning fixing food into an all-day ordeal. When food gets too complicated, tired women quit, and I was tired. I had spent years looking for a better plan. What I needed was rhythm that I could live inside and do simply. There's a difference. A plan can look good on paper and fall apart in real life because you don't have all the time. A rhythm starts to become part of who you are. It's the thing you do because it supports you, and it's just the natural thing on the day. It's the thing you return to when life gets noisy. Mostly raw, whole, plant-based foods help me because it brought freshness. It gave me volume, it gave me color, and it gave me food that felt alive. It helped me stop obsessing over tiny diet math. Instead of asking, how little can I eat? I started asking, how much nourishment can I bring into my body every single day? That question changed the way I built my plate. It changed the way I looked at vegetables. It changed the way I looked at fruit. It changed the way I looked at myself. I could feel good about myself. I could look in the mirrors I passed and think, oh my God, you are rocking it. Now, if you have diabetes or are on any kind of medication, please work with your doctor. Monitor your numbers. Eating this way for me took my A1C from 12.2 to 4.4. Sometimes it's 4.6 because I love watermelon. Food is powerful. I also want you to know this. Whole plant foods are worth taking seriously. Fresh food is worth taking seriously. Fiber, water, minerals, color, and consistency are worth taking seriously. Your body is asking for better calories, not fewer calories. That's how I started seeing food. Information, a message, a daily conversation with my body. One thing I want to point out, you are going to be hungry. Eat. Let yourself eat as much as you want. When I started, some days I ate half a watermelon. If you need recipe ideas, grab the Spark Protocol. It's free. I'll leave a link down below, and then you can go and grab it for yourself. And the fourth thing, I stopped throwing away my binge foods. I'd get motivated and throw everything away. I'd go through the whole kitchen, the refrigerator, the freezer. And not long after, because I would blow it, I was like, oh my God, what did I do that for? Because I was missing those foods. Here's what changed. I let go of food one at a time, and kindly too. I would stop buying food I didn't want in my body. I told myself I just wouldn't buy it anymore. That helped a lot. I didn't give it up everything at once. I gave up one thing at a time. First, it was sugar. I kept eating junk food, just nothing with sugar. I even ate an ice cream with dates. I still love this. Second was chips. I ate them all at first, so I gave up sugar and I was eating tons of chips. And then after that, I just didn't buy anymore. For me, it had to be kindness for myself. Then I could feel good about myself. I'm all for that. Can you imagine feeling good about food choices without being extreme? Loving myself through it made all the difference. I could succeed without all the all or nothing I used to get caught up in. It's powerful. I made sure I had healthy food on hand to replace it with. That matters when you've carried shame around your body for a long time. And hey, you guys, this channel is for people who are done fighting their bodies and ready to learn a different way with food, especially after 50 and in our 60s. Not perfect, not extreme, a real way. Okay, let's talk about number 5. The fifth thing I changed may be the most important. I let my identity change before the scale caught up. I'm going to be honest with you. Listen, I lost over 80 pounds before people noticed. They never noticed anything different because when you're that large, 80 pounds isn't that big of a deal. Most people wait for the weight loss to make them a new person. I had to find a new identity inside myself. I had to become someone who loved me. I had to change my perspective of who I am and where I was going. Some days it's hard. My mind lies to me, even now. I know where mine stems from. We have all had pain in our lives, and I'm here to say, we can change that script. We can change that lie our mind is telling us. One thing at a time. We are all fantastic. We have worth. We are simply fabulous. I am, and so are you. You deserve good things. It starts here. They say, when I lose the weight, I'll trust myself. I trust myself now. When I lose the weight, I'll feel proud. I made a good choice today is the change. I rocked it. I had lived long enough to know it doesn't work that way, to wait until I've accomplished being thin. If you carry the same shame into a smaller body, you're still not free. I had to become the woman who cared for myself first. I had to practice saying, hey, this is who I am now. My favorite was and still is, that's okay. I love you. I'm a woman who feeds myself. I'm a woman who returns. I'm a woman who no longer calls herself a failure. I'm a woman who can have a hard day and still choose life-giving food at the next meal. That identity came before the full result. That's part of why the results lasted. I wasn't chasing a number anymore. I was becoming someone I could live with, someone I could trust. I never dreamed I would be somebody that I could trust in a restaurant in front of a dessert counter. I was someone I had dreamed I could be. No, that didn't happen all at once. There were days I cried. There were days I was angry because of who I was. There were days I wanted the old comfort. There were days I had to pause and remember, oh yeah, I'm not dieting anymore. I was building a life. I am building a life. That's a very different thing. I want you to hear me here. If you're over 50, over 60, it's not too late. If you've regained weight, it's not too late. If you've tried everything, it's not too late. If your body feels like it's unfamiliar right now, it is not too late. I don't want you to start by hating yourself into another plan. Start by giving your body proof that you're on your own side. That can be one green juice, one fresh bowl, one walk, one kind sentence, one meal where you don't punish yourself afterwards. That's how the next version of you starts to become real. Not through one perfect Monday, through one real return. So, if you had to name the 5 things that changed first, they were these. I added before I took away. I stopped trying to win the whole day perfect. I made food simple enough to repeat, and I stopped being an all or nothing person with the food. I let my identity change before the scale even caught up with me. None of those are flashy. They changed my life. If you're sitting there thinking, I don't even know where to start, start here. Before you take anything away, add one fresh thing. Make it a green juice. Wash some fruit. Build a big, huge, fresh bowl of vegetables and fruit. Give your body one signal that says, hey, guess what? We are going to have energy today. I am coming back to myself. And if you want help taking that first step, I have the Spark protocol for you. It's a simple 7-day plan to begin again with food, without shame, without another diet. and you can find it in the link below when you're ready. And I want you to comment one word for me: start. Just write start if this is the season when you're ready to stop fighting your body and begin again. This way is different. This way begins with one simple thing. It's never too late to start. Look at me. I am over 60. This time we're not starting with extremes. We're starting with proof that you're worth caring for.